Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is Sajid Haydari and I'm going to create a virtual assistant in this YouTube series video. Now, let's start with a very basic thing. So, I work in a company that has its main focus on developing chatbots, and because of that, the research and development team uh, creates create some of different libraries and technologies that goes on unused, and I wanted to use some of the older retired libraries in order to create a very simple virtual assistant. So let's start with the basics. What is a virtual assistant? Well, to put it simply, a virtual assistant is a piece of software that helps you get your things done. So for example, we have Google Assistant, we have Apple Siri, there's Amazon Alexa, Microsoft's Cortana, Facebook's Portal. All of these are virtual assistants. They are software that help you do your thing. For example, they can make a phone call for you, they can send SMS for you, they can check the weather for you, all of these different things. And the goal of this series is to create a virtual assistant, but not in a sense that Google, Microsoft, Apple, all of those big companies have done. We are going to focus on creating a virtual assistant that is going to help us day-to-day developers to get our things done. So, for example, I want a assistant that could run my tests for me and reports on dependency upgrades, or for example, do links for me on my code, do those kind of things. And it might take a long time for us to reach there, but that's definitely a goal. So all of the assistants that I mentioned earlier, they are modular based assistants. They have different triggers for different modules, and when a module is triggered, it does its thing and then passes the control back to the main processor or something along those lines, depending on the exact architecture. And we're going to use a similar technique. So how exactly is it going to work? Well, if you're familiar with the Node.js environments, you definitely know of an object named event emitter. So an event emitter is basically an events bus. It has a set of different events that could come inside, and for each event there are a set of listeners that could respond to those events. This sounds really promising because that's exactly what I have in mind. My modular assistant has different modules that could interact with one another. For example, one module could talk to the user, which is me, and emit events whenever I type something. And that same module could listen for events when other modules want to say something to the user, and it could gather those informations and present them to me. So over the past few days, I tried different technologies that we had back in the company, and I implemented a very basic idea of how this could work. Let me just show you. So this is my editor. I hope everything is visible for you. Let me just increase the font. Okay. So this is how the code might look at the end of this project. We have an assistant class that you could import it from somewhere, and the assistant class has a register function that accepts different modules. So for example, I currently have developed 3 different modules. One of them simply reports the modules that are registered, the other one is a sample module, and the last one enables me to type in commands and see responses. And at the end, I'm emitting an event. This is what I mean. So let me start by showing how a mod might work. So this is a module that allows the user to communicate with the assistant using terminal, and it's pretty straightforward. There is a constructor, and this is the sys variable is the original assistant. So what the module should do is first instantiate itself, and it should call its supervisor and give it its name. This is the module's name. It is terminal chat for me, and then do whatever it wants. So this module uses a Node.js package called readline. Readline allows the user to type in commands and see information. This might look hard, but it isn't really anything hard at its core. So first of all, we initialize the readline module. That could be anything else in a different module, and then we listen for when the user presses the enter key. So whenever the user presses the enter key, what do? We inform the system. We says that the user has sent us an input, and the input was this line. Okay, and then we whenever the user closes the readline environment, whenever you send Control D or E or F, it will close it will emit a close event. So how does emit works? If you have up to this point, you might have noticed a trend. The emit function gets a name, which is name of the event, here the input, and also it could have any additional argument it wants. So here, for example, I'm saying the user set something, and that something was the line variable. So how do modules respond to this emit? Looking down here, you can see that this module is listening on the input emit. So whenever an input emit is sent to the system, this function will get triggered, and this function gets a message variable, which is this line over here, obviously, and it basically logs it to the terminal and prompts the user again. So this is how it all works. We have different constructors, different modules, and as you can see, this module is pretty independent. It doesn't rely on any other modules, and that's the key point. I designed this system this way because I wanted the system to be able to load modules on the fly and unload them on the fly, do stuff like that, and this could really help us to achieve what we want. So let's check out the sample mod. So the sample mod is pretty simple. It's in its constructor, it registers its name. It is the sample mod, and whenever the init event is emitted, it will emit another event, say hi. So how can we handle the say event? Well, for now, the terminal event captures the say event and logs it on the screen. This is how it works as of now. In the future, we could use text-to-speech to say out loud whatever the system has sent to us, or we could, I don't know, print it to a GUI or send it over the internet, do anything we want. But as of now, it is only printed to the screen. And there's another module that might be a little bit harder, and it is the mod module. So the mod module has, let me clear that up. The mod module has two listeners. It both listens to the register event, because we want to log whenever a module is registered for us, and also it has it listens to the input event. So whenever the user says something starting with a slash load, it tries to load that package and registers to the system. This is basically what I said earlier. So let me quickly show you the libraries that I have used so far. So there are 3 different libraries so far. The assistant, that is the main part of the system. It is pretty straightforward. It extends a named events emitter. This is basically events emitter, but for each listener we assign a name so that we can access it later in order to remove it or in order to update it, stuff like that. And it's just events emitter. You can assume it's an events emitter. And it also has a register method. So the register method accepts a class and it instantiates the class, and the assistant passes itself to the class, and then it will emit a register event with mode.name value, so that every other module can understand that a new module has been registered and its name is this one. So it's pretty straightforward. We also have the base module, and this is what every other module should extend. So the base module is pretty straightforward as well. Whenever you call the on function, as we saw in the other module, let me open up one for example. So whenever we say this on register, what is happening is that it calls the system's on method, and it also passes the name of that module, because as I said, we are not using events emitter, we are using named events emitter. There is a slight difference, but not that much. Anyway, this is pretty normal stuff, and it also stores the system and the name of the module for further use. And finally, let's see the events emitter. So events emitter, the named events emitter, is a pretty basic system. It has a dictionary of all listeners. So for every event we have a value in this dictionary. So when we want to add a new event listener, what we do is first we ensure that that event exists in our listener dictionary, and after we make sure that the dictionary item exists, we simply add the listener there. You see, ev brackets name equals the callback, and whenever something is emitted for us, what we do is we find that the listeners, and we basically call every callback that has been registered to our system. You don't have to exactly understand how this is working in order to use the system. You don't have to even ever start using this module on its own. Okay, so let's try it out. Why is there... Okay, let me just start the project. So this is pretty basic, and you can see that the current registered modes are the mod, the sample mod, and the terminal chat mod. So how does the terminal chat mod works? As we have seen earlier, if anything I type here, it is going to print "you said hi," and that's basically it as of now. So let's get our hands dirty and develop some new modules. Okay, so let me just start with editing a modular name, and I'm going to call it greeter. So the greeter module is going to reply to our hi events. So whenever we say hey or hi or hello, it is going to answer, and only those 3 queries I'm not going to overcomplicate it at this point, but maybe another time. So just for in order to have a frame of reference, I'm going to open that over there. So we first have to include our base module, and it is lib base mod. Okay, and our greeter mod, okay, greeter extends base mod, and I'm sorry, and module that exports greeter. Okay, so what's in our constructor? We're going to call ourselves greeter, and then whenever we have an input and the message is one of the following, if message equals hi or message equals hey or message equals hello, okay, we're going to say system dot emit say and then answer. So we have to define the answer variable, and just in order to lowercase, is it this or is it two lowercase? Let me just check it really quick. A dot lowercase, no, a dot 2 lowercase. Okay, so 2 lower in case. Okay, and what should be our reply? I'm going to say hello to you too, and I assigned it a different variable because I thought maybe later we could upgrade this system to respond differently each time. And I think that's it. So let's actually try it. Okay, I'm going to run the system, and I say hi, it doesn't answer anything. I say hello, it doesn't answer anything. And then I say load mods greeter, and you can see that it has registered our mod, and now we could say hi and it will say hello to you too. Nice. And let me just say hi, okay, or hello, and it will say hello to you too. This is perfect. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this project so far. This was a very basic demonstration of how this project will work, and this is a very basic stage. I'm going to keep improving the project, and in a later stage when things are completely better, there are better modules and better integration with different software, I'm going to record an update video, and hopefully I'll see you then.